Hello, hello, and welcome in to Tuesday Tea at 2. As always, I am Paegan O'Ceallaigh, and I am here to hopefully workshop with some of you, share with you what I've found, what I've learned, what works for me, and what doesn't work for me. And just kind of share. As always, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask or any points that you would like to make, we encourage you to do so right there in the chat or in the comments section below. So, with all of that out of the way, rush start today because this topic is something that I have wanted to talk about for a very, very long time. We're going to be talking about parasocial relationships. Now, this is something that I wish I had considered myself. I wish that I had considered it myself before I started being a streamer, before I went off on this venture. If you were to ask me what is the one thing that I wish I had known before I started, it would be this. So, for all of my planning and all of the research and all of the time and effort that I put in to figuring out how to go about becoming a content creator, I freely admit that this is the one thing that I did not consider, that I did not look into, that I did not have a plan for. And since the purpose of these is to talk to you guys, to kind of share my journey, to share your journeys with you, to kind of, help us out on this crazy path that is content creation. So I want to talk about this topic and share it with you today, so that way hopefully you'll avoid some of the mistakes that I've made, you'll be prepared, and you won't suffer the same sort of way that I did. One thing that I have started saying a lot lately is that streaming would be great if it weren't for the people. That's not to say that I don't love my viewers and I don't love my audience, and of course I do. But navigating these relationships is incredibly difficult. So, today we're going to talk about parasocial relationships. Now, these are normal things that can develop between people. We're social creatures as human beings. It's natural and it's normal to develop relationships with other people. They can develop, it's normal that they happen, but they can be quite dangerous. Not just for you, as the streamer, as the entertainer, as the content creator, but for the viewer as well. For the person on the other side of that screen that's developing that parasocial relationship with you, it can be quite dangerous for them as well. And of course, live streaming puts you at a much greater risk of these parasocial relationships, because the nature of live streaming is talking to people, interacting with your chat. They have a direct connection to you in a way that they wouldn't from just a YouTube video, right? They can say something in chat and you can respond in real time. So that gives you a closer connection to people, and it makes it much easier for these parasocial relationships to develop. So it's very, very important for you guys, if you're going to be streaming, if you're going to be a content creator in any sort of live context, whether you be streaming on Twitch or on YouTube Live or on Facebook Gaming. Does anyone use Facebook Gaming anymore? Instagram, I think, has a live version. TikTok might. I know Reddit had one for a while. What happened to that? Is that still a thing? Let me know in the chat if that's still a thing. And Darth, any kind of social relationship can be dangerous for that matter. Yes, relationships themselves are tricky to navigate. I'm not a relationship columnist though. I'm not here to give you advice with your boyfriends or your girlfriends or anything like that. But I do feel uniquely qualified to talk about parasocial relationships as a streamer myself, as someone who has encountered them myself with people, and I want you guys to really have an understanding of what these things are, how they come up, and what you can do about them. So today, we are going to talk about What are parasocial relationships? What actually are they? How do they work? Where do they come from? How do they develop? We're going to talk about that, so that way we all are on the same page of what we're talking about. We're also going to talk about how parasocial relationships can be healthy, because, and I know it's an unpopular opinion, but parasocial relationships can be healthy to a certain degree. If they couldn't be healthy to a certain degree, none of us would have to be doing this at all. Because it'd be like, what we're doing is entirely unhealthy to everyone all the time. We're terrible people. We shouldn't be doing this. They can be healthy in certain circumstances. So we're going to talk about those things. We're also going to talk about how can they be dangerous. Because normally when we hear the term parasocial relationship, the very next thing out of someone's mouth is, they're so dangerous, they're so bad, they're terrible. So we're going to talk about how they can be dangerous. And then, of course, we're going to talk about some best practices, because with these workshops, with these live streams, with these videos, I like to leave you guys with some things that you can walk away from, that you can implement on your own. When you leave here, I want you to have some things that you can put into your toolkit and enact for your own content creation. Hello, Lyndon. Good morning, good morning. What be the topic this week? Just got up from a long sleep. This week's topic is parasocial relationships. And hello, Nook Nook. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, we're going to be talking about parasocial relationships. We're going to go over those 4 points that we just discussed. And for those of you that are just joining us now, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, if you have any points that you would like to make, I invite you to pop right on over to the Discord. We'll drag you in here. We'll put you in this nice little box with your profile photo and your name. And so this way everyone knows who you are, how you're speaking, and we can have a chat about these things. Because that's what I would really like to do with you. These have never been meant for me to just waffle on about things as if I'm the be-all, end-all of information, because I'm certainly not. I'm just on this crazy journey, same as you. I might be a little bit further along the journey than you are. You might be further along the journey than I am. And especially if you are, please, I invite you to share what you've known, what you've seen, and what you've learned. So, parasocial relationships. What exactly are they? What do we mean when we say parasocial relationship? A parasocial relationship is a one-sided relationship that typically forms between a fan and someone who would have fans. So whether that be a celebrity, an internet star, a TikTok star, a streamer like yourself, any sort of entertainer, any sort of person that is in the public eye and puts bits and pieces of their lives or personality out on display, can create a parasocial relationship with their fans. Now, I don't mean to say that you can create it, as in this comes entirely from you, it's all on you, you're the one that made this happen. No. But as a content creator, as a streamer, especially as a live streamer, you need to be aware that it is entirely possible and very likely that at least one person in your audience is going to develop a parasocial relationship with you. Now, these relationships are characterised as being a one-sided relationship which features attachment, character personification, or social realism towards the relationship in the mind of your fan or viewer. So they watch you, maybe you stream every week, maybe you put out a video every week, and they get to talk to you and interact with you, or they see bits of your life and your personality, your worldview, whatever it is, and they identify with that. And because they have these bits and pieces of you and your life, they now truly believe on their side that they know you as a person. They know who you are, what you represent, what you stand for, and they know you on a personal level. And they believe that they have a personal relationship with you. This is what we mean by parasocial relationship. Hello, Dominic. Hello, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. So, that is what a parasocial relationship is. But how exactly do they form? How do these relationships form exactly? Like, what are the factors that create this relationship in the mind of your fans? Now, we've already touched on it, that they get to know you a little bit, or they think that they get to know you, right? So this comes from repeated exposure to you, to your content, to the personality that you portray on screen when you're interacting with people. Repeated exposure reinforces this relationship. And they form from the illusions of intimacy and friendship and identification with you. So someone in your audience might feel that they know you on a super personal level. They're an intimate friend of yours. They know who you really are, and they're privy to your private thoughts and all of this because they are a viewer of your content, because they're always in your streams, because they watch all of your videos, because they subscribe to your Patreon, maybe, right? Or maybe it could just be that this person sees you and your personality and your content and they identify with you. No matter what it is, maybe they identify with your struggles. Maybe they identify with the kinds of things that you enjoy. Maybe they identify with your personality. Maybe you're, a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, and so are they, and they identify with you that way because you're out and you're open about it. Maybe they identify with you because you have mental health struggles, and you talk about those things in your content. And they identify because they struggle from the same thing, so they feel a closeness to you. And because they have this repeated exposure, and they have this identification, they feel like they are your friend. Now, normally, back in the day, when this would happen with people with celebrities, right, they didn't really have a means by which to interact in a person-to-person basis with these celebrities, Like, it's in fan mail, and that was about it, right? You send a fan mail letter, you're probably not going to get a response back. Big deal, right? And then when you start thinking about it in terms of YouTube videos, right, your comment sections is essentially fan mail, right? You write a comment, the person may or may not respond to you. If they do, awesome, it's great. You might get a shout out or something like that, and that's what people are looking for. But then you go to live streaming. You go to live streaming where you have an active chat of people sitting there while you're creating your content and you're having a chat, and you're probably going to be actively responding to them. If someone says in your chat, "Hello, Paegan," and you stop and you go, "Hello, Dominic, it's good to see you." Right there, you have just reinforced that the person in your chat has some sort of relationship with you. Now, it becomes very difficult, of course, because you want to have some sort of relationship with your viewers, right? You're trying to build not just a fan base, but a community, right? But at the same time, you're not going to have a deep connection and a deep friendship with every single person in your chat. You might when you're first starting out and your chat is small, you might, get to know a few of these people, a few of your fans, a few of your viewers on a more personal level. But as you grow and as your viewer count gets larger and as, your subscriber base increases, you're not going to be able to have a deep personal relationship and personal friendship with every single one of these people. It's just not possible. You're only one person. You're only one person. And for a certain type of viewer, for the type of viewer that is really prone to these parasocial relationships, which unfortunately are people who tend to be socially isolated, to suffer from mental health issues like depression or anxiety, people like that are much more prone to these parasocial relationships because they're looking for acceptance and they might not be finding it in their everyday lives. So they come online. So even just that little bit of interaction that you give them can reinforce that illusion of intimacy that they have with you, where they feel like, oh, I know Paegan. We're such great friends. And I'm sure you guys, if you don't do it yourself, if you don't have people like this yourself in your own communities, if you're watching other people's communities, you probably have seen some people refer to streamers, I know I have, as, oh, my friend so-and-so is having a birthday stream, can we go over there? My friend this, my friend that. And then, you look into it and you realise, oh, they say that this person is their friend, but they've never actually had a full conversation with this person. They're not able to distinguish between, this is a streamer who's interacting with me, with their public persona, and they're friendly, versus being my friend. And it can be very hard sometimes for people to distinguish that. And unfortunately, it might be hard for you as the streamer to distinguish that, to know when someone is, trying to be your friend, or whether they've developed this parasocial relationship with you. And it can be very, very difficult. And it can lead to a lot of problems for you. So it's very important that you know what parasocial relationships are, so that way you have an ability to recognise them, but also so that you have the ability to try to prevent them from forming. Because they can be disastrous. They really and truly can. Hello, Phantom. Welcome in. It's good to see you. Good to see you. So, now that we know a little bit about what parasocial relationships actually are, let's talk about how they can be healthy. And I know this is probably a controversial opinion, but I believe that parasocial relationships, to a certain extent, can actually be healthy. Now, I want to say, of course, to a certain extent, because there is, of course, a point where they become dangerous and they become unhealthy. Thunder, I see you have a question to ask. Make your way into the waiting room. Blubby is right there waiting for you to make sure your mic is working, see what your question is about, all of those things. And hello, Assassin Boy. Hello. So, parasocial relationships, I believe, can be healthy to a certain degree. Now, humans are built to make social connections. We're social creatures, we're social animals. Humanity is made on social connections. So it's perfectly natural and normal when we're presented with someone, when we meet someone for the first time, that we want to try to build a sort of connection with them. We want to know who they are, we want to, identify them, we want to be able to have that understanding. And it's natural part of just humanity that we want to create these social connections. And when you're presented with a person on the screen who releases a video every week showing you their life, or who streams, goes live 3 times a week, and you can interact with them, it's natural and it's normal that you want to get to know this person, that you want to, know things about them, that you want to understand who they are, that you want to build a little bit of a deeper connection to this person. That's totally natural, it's totally normal. If you're watching someone 3 times a week, every week, you're going to naturally know this person a little bit more than if you've just met them, right? Because you're going to know a bit of their the way they speak. You're going to know their mannerisms. You're going to know what kinds of things they like, what kinds of things they don't like. You're going to get to know them a little bit. And in a live streaming setting, especially if it's a smaller streamer or a smaller creator, chances are good that they're going to get to know you in that same sort of way a little bit. And they're going to actively try to get to know you just a little bit, just enough to let you know that they care about you as another human being, right? So they're going to try to remember, oh, it's your birthday, or hey, you had that job interview, how did it go? Or hey, your mum's in the hospital, how's she doing? Because as a person, you're going to care about those things. Think of it like having a co-worker, right? You're going to pay attention to things that your co-workers say and do because you spend a lot of time with them. And it's just a natural thing. It's how we survive as a species. We create these social connections. But at the same time, your co-worker is also not going to be your best friend, right? We think a lot of us realise that. You may be friendly with a co-worker, and some of us do become friends with our co-workers. That's totally normal. You might make a friend out of a co-worker. You might go out after work and have some drinks or something. But you're not going to be the same kind of friend with every single co-worker. And it's the same way with your fans and with your viewers and with your community. You might be friends with some of them, and you're going to have different levels of friendship with all of them, but you're not going to be deep, connected BFFs with every single viewer that you have. It's impossible. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. Funder, gaming is actually how I met some of my friends, like one of my friends who I trusted enough to help me out and things. Well, yes, of course. Yes, of course. I'm not saying that you can't make friends online, and I'm not saying that you can't make friends with some of your fans. But what I'm saying is that it's impossible for you to have a deep connection with every single fan and every single viewer that you have. Some of them might become your good friends. They might. But every single one of them, every single one of them, I am getting close to 900 followers on Twitch, which is an amazing accomplishment, and I'm so, so grateful to be there. But do you honestly think that I could maintain a deep and personal connection with every single one of those almost 900 people? Could I name their siblings and tell you where their birthdays are and what their favourite colours are and what their hopes and dreams are as a person, or tell you about their experiences in elementary school for all of these people, for almost 900 people? Absolutely not. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. And unfortunately, some people, there's a certain subset of people that are not going to understand that. They're not going to understand that. And they're going to think and expect that, yes, you can do that. Or that, no, of course you can't do that. But you have with me, because I am special. I am special, I have been chosen, and you have this deep connection with me. That right there is a parasocial relationship, because it's one-sided, right? They might think that you have this deep and lasting and personal connection, and on your side you're just like, I like you, I appreciate you, I care about you on a fundamental level as a person and as a viewer, but I'm not, I'm friendly with you, but I cannot be your best friend. And it's a hard position to be in, but it happens. And it's normal and it's natural that that's going to happen for some people. But that's getting into the dangerous side. We're talking about how parasocial relationships can actually be sort of healthy. They can be healthy to a certain extent, because they can offer a respite from a weary reality. So if someone comes in, right, you have a viewer that comes into your chat and maybe their life sucks. Maybe they're arguing with their father, or they have a crap time at their job, or maybe, you know, things with their family's not going well, whatever it is. And they're just having a crappy time. They feel alone in the world. They feel like nobody understands them. They feel like everything just sucks. And now they can come in and watch a video from you or interact with you and your community. And for a small bit of time, you know, they're in this little bubble of suspended reality where, they have people to talk to and they have friends, and there's this nice, warm, happy feeling. And they can do that. That can be a good thing. That can be healthy. That can be a bit of healthy escapism, to be able to have some time where everything is not doom and gloom and things are okay, and they can interact with people, they can have that social interaction, not just with you, but with other people in your chat, and they get a bit of a respite from the crappiness of the world, right? That can be a healthy aspect to that parasocial relationship. Everyone knows, yes, we're friendly, we care about each other on a personal level, but we're not deep and close abiding friends, but we are a group of people that can get together and have a good time on a regular basis. That is a healthy parasocial relationship. That is when people understand that what we're doing is we're building this little bubble, this little community that is ours, that is good for us and healthy for us to have a place to go. That's a healthy parasocial relationship. And for a lot of us as content creators, for a lot of us as streamers, and for the majority of us as VTubers, when you talk to people, what do they want to do? They want to entertain. They want to create a space where they can make people happy. If I could make someone just laugh for 5 minutes, if they are only in my stream for 5 minutes and I make those 5 minutes better than the rest of their day, then I've done my job. This is a constant thing that I hear from so many streamers, and we all want that. That is a healthy parasocial relationship, right? So not all parasocial relationships are bad. Another way that a parasocial relationship can be a good thing is when you serve as inspiration for someone. Someone might not know you on a very personal level. They might not know, you guys right here in this chat right now. You might not know the struggles that I go through in my day-to-day life. You might not know my favourite brand of soda pop. We might not have hours-long conversations and hang out. But I might be an inspiration to you. You might look at what I do and go, you know what? I want to do that. Or the way that you do this is great. You might look up to another animator. Someone that animates things. A good friend of mine, the Inverted Shadow, is a wonderful animator, and though he won't admit it, he serves as inspiration to so many people. So many people have gotten into animating because he is an inspiration to them. They look at what he does and they like it, and they go, I want to be like that. So whether it's me or Shads or you to your own viewers, serving as an inspiration to someone, inspiring them, whether to do the kind of work that you do, whether to get better at streaming, whether to, get better at making music, whatever it is, serving as an inspiration is a type of parasocial relationship, but it's not a negative one. It's a healthy one. Darth, no, we don't. But then again, isn't that one of the reasons why we have the question of the day in every stream? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The reason why I do a question of the day in every stream is not so that, we all can feel like we deeply and truly know the inner workings that make us tick, but so that way we can create a little bit of that relationship. We can get to know each other a little bit, person to person, find out where our similarities are, where our differences are, and create that relationship between not only you, as the viewer and myself as the streamer, but between you guys separately as the viewers, in a healthy way that is good for all of us. Now, another way that parasocial relationships can be healthy is to serve as reassurance. Serving as reassurance for other people can in fact be a great and positive and healthy parasocial relationship. And we see this especially in the mental health community, right? In the streamers that talk about mental health and they put it front and forward and they share their struggles and they remind you it's okay to not be okay sometimes. It's alright, you're not alone. The struggle is real, it's hard, it's valid. You're not a terrible person, you're not alone just because you're struggling. You can serve as reassurance to someone for that, no matter what they're going through, whether it be mental health issues, whether it be related to their sexual or gender identities, whether it be related to the work that they're trying to do, the struggles that they run into, being a streamer, being an animator, making their own music, whatever it is, you can serve as reassurance to this person that you might never have a conversation with, but you can just let them know. You can just let them know, hey, what you're feeling is normal. This happens. It's completely normal. You're not alone. You're not some kind of freak of nature. You're not the only one dealing with these issues. You can serve as that reassurance for people. And that in and of itself is a type of parasocial relationship. But it's not a negative one. It's a healthy one. To let people know they're not alone. Not all parasocial relationships are bad. Not all of them are unhealthy. Not all of them are dangerous. And it's important to understand that. So that way you can look at the kinds of parasocial relationships that are healthy, that you can cultivate, that you can create with people, that you can foster in your own communities. In a healthy sense. So that way you can also discourage and stay away from the dangerous ones. And we're going to talk about some of those dangerous ones now. Because they do exist. They absolutely do exist, and they're quite scary sometimes. They can be very, very scary. So we're going to talk about when they get dangerous. But first I'm going to have some tea so that I don't die and catch up with the chat. Yum. Wonder, I won't lie about Shadow. It was because of him that I was inspired to create so much stuff. Exactly. No matter how many times he says otherwise, his work basically created me. Exactly. Exactly, Wonder. That is an excellent point. That's an excellent point. And that right there is a parasocial relationship. That's a parasocial relationship. His work inspired you. Now, that's not a negative parasocial relationship. Because you're inspired by him doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't mean that you're a crazy rabid fanboy. And it also doesn't mean that he encouraged, this unbalanced relationship at all. That's a healthy relationship, to be inspired by someone. And I agree with Dirk. Shads absolutely is a very swell guy. I hope he doesn't mind me name dropping him. Sorry, Shads. Alright. So we're going to talk about how parasocial relationships can be dangerous. Because they can be. I'm sure if you guys, when you first saw we're going to be talking about parasocial relationships, you're probably expecting some horror stories. People conjure up images of stalkers and all kinds of terrible, terrible things. But we're going to talk about where they truly get dangerous now. Parasocial relationships, where it gets dangerous. It happens when they, being the fan that is, watching your content, when they don't or are unable to acknowledge the illusion of the relationship that they have with you. When someone is unable to realise that, yes, you might be friendly with them, it doesn't mean that you have this relationship. When they're unable to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, I feel like I know you because I spend so much time watching your videos or your streams, but I recognise that, what you put out in your public persona is not necessarily who you are, or it's not the totality of who you are, or maybe you're playing a character. When someone is not able to recognise that, and to acknowledge that, and to realise that they may know a bit about you and your personality because of what you put out there every week or every time you stream, that they don't actually know you as a person, when they can't acknowledge that, or when they just don't acknowledge it, that is when a parasocial relationship becomes dangerous. That's when it becomes unhealthy. That is when all kinds of things can go wrong. This leads to people engaging in risk-taking or dangerous behaviour. This leads to all kinds of things. This is what leads to the stalkers. This is what leads to, the yanderees. If I can't have you, nobody can. I need to know what you're doing all the time at all hours of the day. I need to follow you on every single social media platform. I need to react with every single post that you make. I need to know what's happening with you at all times. I need to find out where you live so that I can come and see you. I need to be there. That's dangerous. That's dangerous, and it's incredibly, incredibly unhealthy for someone. That kind of obsession. Yes, it's scary for you. As a streamer, I've been there. I've had a stalker. And it was not fun, let me tell you. It was not fun. In my former life online, I had a stalker for a number of years, and it was not fun. Alright? But it's also not good for the person on the other side. Right, it's easy to vilify someone and be like, oh, you absolutely crazy rabid fanboy, what the hell is wrong with you? You're an idiot. But you have to remember that this person wasn't always this way. They weren't always this way. There's a number of factors that go into the creation of that kind of rabid fanism. And if you can recognise those things happening, if you know what to look for, you can discourage that in people, and you can also protect yourself from those people. Because it's not just, parasocial relationships don't just lead to the crazy stalker that's sitting in your bushes. For us, especially us that live stream on Twitch, parasocial relationships can be dangerous for our viewers in a very real sort of way. Which is, they can engage in some dangerous and risk-taking behaviour in terms of donations, in terms of bits, in terms of subs, in terms of all of these kinds of things. Darth, you had a stalker pay. Wow, that's a bit of a surprise. Yeah. Fortunately, we can say I have not had a stalker since I started this whole VTubing venture. This was a number of years ago, back when I was a face streamer and I did not do the research and I had no idea what I was really getting into, and I was pretty much just online. I didn't really stream that often. I just streamed on occasion, but I was big in a lot of online games. And I had no idea what parasocial relationships were. I was just like, oh, I'm friendly. Let's be friends with everyone. No. So, getting back on topic, parasocial relationships with your viewers can put them in a dangerous situation, because for those people that do tend to develop these deep and lasting parasocial relationships with you, one of the things that they're going to want to do is get your attention. They're going to want to get your attention. And what a better way to get your attention than to throw bits at you, than to have that little alert come up on the screen, or to have it highlight their message in your chat, so that way they know you've seen their message and you're going to respond to it. What better way to get your attention than to throw a bunch of subs at you and have you go, oh, thank you so much, and give them that direct one-on-one attention. What better way to do that than with all of these shiny alerts by giving you money, right? And that's all well and good if people want to support you and you want to thank them and that sort of thing. But for a certain type of person, this becomes almost obsessive behaviour, where every stream they have to, every message, they have to add bits on it to make sure that you read their message and they get your attention. Every single stream, they have to throw subs at you. They always have to be there. And that can be dangerous for some people, because if they do have this parasocial relationship going on, the only thing that they might care about is getting your attention and not worrying about if they're spending too much money. If they can't afford to give you money and they're still giving it to you just to get that attention, that recognition from you, you can obviously see how that might be dangerous, right? And we as streamers, that's the last thing we want. The last thing we want is our audience, our members of our audience, putting themselves in a bad financial situation just to be able to see their message highlighted, or to have us read off their name because they, throw bits at us. Now, personally, for me, it's because of this that I created in my own channels. On my own channel, I have channel redeems called Frivolity. Frivolity. It's a pun. We like puns, we like tea. And these channel redeems are essentially a cheer with channel points option for my viewers. Now, not only does this allow my viewers who can't afford to give bits and give subs and all of this to still participate in stuff, but it also allows for people who might be prone to maybe giving more than they should, to kind of give them another outlet. Yes, you would like the attention, you would like to feel a part of things, you would like to have your name flash up on the screen, but, your rent is due this week, and you've got just enough money to pay your rent. Maybe you shouldn't, give me another subscription. Maybe you should hit that channel redeem instead. So that way, it helps to kind of counteract that a little bit, because none of us want that to happen, right? If you're in the chat right there, you don't want someone putting themselves in a bad situation because they want to give you subs. Funder, I hate it when you try and let people down gently and say stuff like, look, you're friendly but I'm spoken for, or they seem to think that their significant other is an obstacle or in the way. Yeah. Hello, Magicert. Hello and welcome in. It's nice to see you. I hope you're doing wonderful today. Alright, Funder, I would like to address this point that you've made here. I only do those huge sub bombs since it's a hype train and stuff. Otherwise, I just leave it alone and stick with 1 or 2 gifted subs, only doing the 5 subs in certain cases. Of course. Now, Funder, I'd like to be clear. I would like to be clear with you, alright? Because I don't want you sitting here thinking that I am talking specifically about you or anything like that, alright? There are going to be people who can absolutely afford to just support you and be wildly generous. There are people that can do that. They're not putting themselves in a bad situation. They have, a bunch of disposable income and they're just entirely generous. And that is amazing and that is perfectly fine. There's no problems there whatsoever. Okay, we're not talking about people like that, so I hope you don't feel like that's targeted at you, because it's not. It's absolutely not. But what I am talking about is I am talking about those people that they want to give, and they can't really afford to do so. You know, I have seen, not in my own streams, but I have seen in other streams, and I have seen on other platforms as well, where people just want to give, even when they can't afford to. Now, the absolute biggest point that I have about this is I personally watched a person that I knew. I don't want to say that they were a friend of mine, but they were definitely someone that I had a bit of a relationship with. We played an online game together that featured some pretty hefty microtransactions. Now, yes, science of addiction, all of that, that's another stream. But I literally watched this person spend so much money on this game, and not just on themselves, but to buy items in the game to give away to other people that they wanted to support and they wanted to be friendly with and they wanted to get attention from and to like them. That they spent so much money on these things that it was very frequent to be in voice chat with them where they're talking about how they've been eating nothing but packaged ramen for the past 2 weeks because they can't afford to go grocery shopping. Despite the fact that they spent easily, $1,000 this month giving out stuff on a game. I watched this personally happen to someone. And I know more than enough people, I've talked to more than enough content creators, and I've seen more than enough anecdotal evidence of people that have done the same sort of thing. Where they will donate and donate and donate until the point where they can't pay their own bills, where they can't afford their own medicine, where they can't afford their electric bills, whatever it is. That is the dangerous side. That is the person that we're talking about. I'm not talking about the person like you, Funder, who checks his bank account, makes sure that he has enough money to, buy what you need to and to take care of yourself first, and then is just really generous afterwards. We're not talking about you. If that's what you do, if you have disposable income, if you've taken care of your bills and you're eating and all of that, and you're perfectly fine, and it's just money that, you can blow on whatever you'd like, and you choose to spend it on a streamer, that's perfectly fine. You're well within your rights, that's perfectly healthy, you do you. No worries there. But we're talking about the kind of person who has become so obsessed with a streamer and with doing these things that they don't take care of themselves anymore. They don't worry about making sure that they're fed. Their only goal is to be noticed. That is where it gets really, really dangerous. Magicert, let's see what you're saying here. Also, people who usually give bits or donos, even when they don't have that money, deserve what they get afterwards. They know what they're doing, but somehow still blame streamers for their lack of self. It is a dangerous line. It absolutely is a dangerous line, and as a streamer, you do find that you have to walk a very fine line with this. You do. Magicert, it looks actually like you're making a lot of good points here. If you would be willing, I would love to have you pop on the Discord. I'd love to have you pop on the Discord and let's have a little chat about this, about some of these points that you're making, because I do see where you're coming from. I do. Is that something that you would be open to? Is that something you'd be open to? Let me know. Which Discord? My Discord. Your Discord, of course. We're right here. Here we go. I'll pop you a link. I'll pop you a link right there. There it is. And anyone else in chat, if you would like to join the Discord as well, or if you're watching the YouTube video, Discord link is in the description below. Everyone is more than welcome. But we do have a particular section on the Discord specifically for tea party stuff, for this kind of thing, for creator workshops and a talk shop and all of that. But yes, I'd love to get you to pop in here, Magistart. I would. I'd love to have a chat with you about this. Because you are making some wonderful points here, and I'm going to go back and see what you've said. Let's see. Streams should be seen as entertainment, not an obsession. Yes, absolutely. They absolutely should. And it's when it becomes that obsession that things really do, they really do become an issue. They really do become an issue. Magistart, welcome in. Welcome into the Discord. I see you right there. If you could pop into the waiting room channel on the side there, in the tea party section, I shall drag you in. I shall drag you into this channel right here. Darth, this is why I try to save my money on stuff that I need, rather whether it be groceries or equipment for creating my content. Absolutely. Absolutely. Alright, Magist, I am going to drag you right on in here with me. Let's get you in here. Let's make sure that works. Let's just unmute you there. Hello. I think you're muted on your end. There we go. Hello, test test. Oh. Not hearing you there, Magist. I saw you key in for just a moment. Alright, I am going to pop you back in with Mr. Blub Evil here. See if he can sort out your mic issues for you. Thank you, Blubby. Get that sorted out, because I would very much love to talk to you, Magist, about some of these things that you're bringing up. And yes, Darth, absolutely. Absolutely. You need to be able to, save money on things. And that's a good way to do it. That's a good way to do it. And, if you're the type of person, like we said, where you just, you check your bank account, you know what you have to spend, you know what you can part with, and you choose to spend it on the entertainment that you enjoy, that's perfectly alright. But we're specifically talking about those people that can't separate that out. That can't figure it out, that, they don't have that control. And when we talk about these dangerous, absolutely dangerous parasocial relationships, there's one in particular that I would really like to bring up and talk about, which is a huge, huge deal. So back in the day, before all of this internet stuff as being as big and as prolific as it is, there's a particular case of a parasocial relationship that got quite famous of a guy who developed a parasocial relationship with an actress named Jodie Foster. And his name was John Hinckley Jr. He developed such a parasocial relationship with this actress. Now, of course, it was completely one-sided. It was absolutely one-sided. She didn't even know he existed. He became obsessed with her to the point where he needed to get her attention. He needed to get her attention no matter what the cost. And in his twisted mind, warped mind, decided that the best way to get her attention was to shoot the President of the United States of America. I'm not making this up. You can look this up. If you've not heard of this before, you can look this up. This actually happened. This guy developed such a parasocial relationship with Jodie Foster, who I believe, mind you, at the time, I think she was like 13, 14 years old at the time, if memory serves. And he thought the best way to get her attention was to shoot the President of the United States of America. Parasocial relationships can be absolutely dangerous. Now, fortunately, we don't usually see this kind of thing too often. We don't see this kind of thing too often with people anymore. What we tend to see instead is we tend to see the simps and the stans, right? Right? There's a reason why these words have become considered so derogatory, because what we're talking about is we're talking about those people. We're talking about those people that are just blindly, you can do no wrong, I will do absolutely anything for your attention. This is the same sort of thing. The exact same sort of thing. The mindless, obsessive fans that will defend someone regardless of what they do wrong, right? We stan with PewDiePie no matter what he's done wrong. It doesn't. We stan with, Jake and Logan Paul, despite the fact that, yeah, they kind of had that video with the forest thing. You know what I'm talking about. You know. We stan with Shane Dawson, despite all of the things. You know what I'm talking about. Those people, those white knights, those keyboard warriors that are going to come to the defence of anyone, despite the fact that they've never had a full-on conversation with this person. They don't know this person on a personal level, but they're here to defend them because they know this person. They truly know this person. We know they're not really like that. We know they're not a bad person. No, this is my friend. This is someone that I've watched for 9 years. They can't possibly be this way. You have them all wrong. Right? That's a dangerous parasocial relationship to have. And then, of course, the simps, which we talked about. The ones who, it doesn't matter if I can't pay my rent this month. Or if my electricity is going to be shut off. Or if I'm going to be sucking ramen this month because that's all I can afford. Because I have sent you thousands and thousands of dollars for your attention. These are the dangerous parasocial relationships that we are talking about, that are so toxic, not only to you as a streamer, not only to the individual involved who gets into this mental state, but to all of content creation as a whole. As a whole, they're so dangerous, and we can't foster this kind of thing. And we have to be on the lookout for this kind of thing, and we have to actively discourage and dissuade this kind of thing from happening. Funder, in situations like this, I remain neutral. I hate what they did, but I don't know that person at all, so I cannot understand the reasons behind why they did what they did. And you know what? That is perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. But these are where parasocial relationships get dangerous. So, of course, we would like to talk about some best practices. Because now we know what a parasocial relationship is. We know what good and healthy and positive parasocial relationships can look like. We know how they can be bad. We also want to talk about some best practices so that you guys can, going forward, know what to do. But before we get into that, it looks as if Magist is all sorted out. Let's see if they're all sorted out. They're in the ready room here. Their microphone should be working and should be ready to go. Hello, Magist, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you?
I can, yes. Yes, absolutely, and thank you. You were making some absolute excellent points in the chat, specifically about people that have no self-control and want to push it onto the streamer. Could you elaborate on that thought a little bit? Because I'd love to discuss this with you.
Great. So the thing is, how streamers are very popular and they earn money, easily, right? Depending on content they do. Like some streamers do reaction only, still they get donation from strangers. female streamers. So those men, or I don't know, people who donate feel like they want something that particular streamer for donating or giving bits. They'll just have it in the back of their head, even though they know they wouldn't get what they want. They wouldn't have a relationship with that streamer just because they get a lot of money. In the back of their mind, they kind of expect it a little bit. How you go to a lottery, buy a ticket, even though you have stable salary, etc. You're still gonna buy a lottery ticket just because you might actually win. So that type of feeling, right?
So what you're suggesting is that it's very common that a lot of people, not a lot of people, but that a certain type of person might be overly generous and feel as though because they are so, they're entitled to have that deeper relationship with you.
Indeed, something like that. And they spend a lot of money, or most of their money, it's that goal. They might blame the streamer for not giving them what they feel like they are owed.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing this point up, because that is an excellent point, that you definitely do encounter some people that maybe, and this is not meant to be a large bit on social commentary at all, but perhaps for me that doesn't affect me as much, because as a female I've gotten used to guys are going to do nice things for you and then they're going to expect certain things after, and you just kind of get used to people being stupid in that aspect, so it doesn't really faze you anymore. But for someone who's not maybe experienced that, and then for the first time they're in a situation where people are donating to them, or they are giving out massive amounts of bits or subs or super chats if it's YouTube or whatever, they might not be accustomed to the fact that sometimes people are going to be generous with an ulterior motive. They're going to feel entitled to that, to a certain type of relationship or to a certain action from you or whatever it is. And I think that's a great point, and one that I did not touch on. So I wonder for you, since this is your point and your topic that you brought up, do you have any advice for maybe a new streamer who's encountering this for the first time, where someone is being exorbitantly generous to them and now is maybe getting angry or maybe feeling as though they are owed a relationship or they're owed something? What would you say as advice to someone that finds himself in that relationship for the first time?
Obviously, what can I say is simple. You need to draw a line. You need to face it that what you're watching is only inside that screen. There's nothing, and there's how do I explain this? Let me think for a second to rearrange my thoughts.
Yeah, of course. And I do appreciate you taking the time to chat with me about this, because it is quite important.
I just, when I went to my email, it said that, hey, you were live, so I just walked in. As
Well,
I
I
was
appreciate
saying,
that.
thanks. As I was saying, how when you watch something, you watch a movie, uh, basically you draw a line from what is, what is real, you know what should be done and should not be done inside that movie, right? You watch a horror movie, though some people maybe suggest that these movies are making people violent, like how journalism in the past thought that violent video games are the ones that are causing the mass shootings in schools that happen. That's You should also keep that thought in mind, wherever you watch these streams, so make sure that this is what you're watching inside the screen. You're not gonna get anything from it. It's just entertainment. It should not be your obsession, since if you become obsessed by it, only lose more and more and receive nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's wonderful advice coming from the side of, as a viewer, I think we would definitely recommend, when you're watching things to understand that there's a difference between fiction and reality, right? So, like, if you're watching a movie or a video game, the way journalists in the past, thought they're making people violent, is to really, as a viewer, make it clear for yourself, this is fiction versus this is real life. And I think in terms of, especially when it comes to live streaming, that line might get a little bit blurred sometimes for people, because we see you on camera, we see your life. It's maybe not as scripted as a fully done up Hollywood movie, but I think it's important that we all accept a little bit that the person you see on camera is not necessarily the sum total of who that person is in real life. Not to say that they're a completely different person, but we all do have a bit of an on screen personality. Some people legitimately are playing characters. But other people, they may be playing up certain parts of their personality or playing down certain aspects or that sort of thing to be the person that they're presenting to you on screen. And I think it's very important to recognise that, the person you see on screen is not necessarily who that actual person is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think people are getting more logical, especially since the era where VTubers are more popular now. They most likely do not donate because they want something from that VTuber, because they clearly know that it's a character that they are playing, right? So can't be for ulterior motives. For example, there are some people who donate a lot because a VTuber's character model is very cute, etc. They just uh, support those VTubers, and there are those memes as well where they joke about how their monthly living living expenses are smaller than the amount of donations that they give. But usually, actually, just jokes, and they're actually not doing that, and they're just having fun and just playing a bit with the streamers.
Yeah,
I think it has
absolutely.
gotten a bit better right now.
Absolutely. And I think, that's a wonderful point that you've made about VTubers. And, part of why I chose to become a VTuber was because of the fact that it was much easier to create that separation of, I'm a person, but what you see on the screen is clearly a character. And I've noticed, at least in the VTuber sphere, that parasocial relationship issue is much less. And I think it's because inherently, visually, someone watching a 2-dimensional or a 3-dimensional anime character on a screen, they know the person behind that character. I mean, I'm not a 2-dimensional shape-shifting druid. Sorry if I've ruined your immersion or broken the illusion. But I think people inherently know, and I think therefore it kind of discourages a little bit of that parasocial relationshipism that we see. Not to say that it doesn't still happen, because it does, but I think it's just a bit easier.
Indeed. But there are also, streamers that cross the or just bridges the gap between both. I think Code Nico is the only one who does it, where she makes two characters, the operator and the avatar that she uses every time she's in a IRL stream, where she just streams with her real face. She calls herself as the operator. Have a separate character for both of them, which is really nice to see and is very unique. I don't think
Yeah,
anyone has ever done that yet.
yeah, that is actually a very awesome thing to do. I thought about doing something similar myself for these Tuesdays, but I mean, between you and I, models are really expensive. That they're really expensive.
And honestly, you're gonna, plan to show your face, it will eventually become a brand when you become famous, right? So when you already have a lot of viewers and
I don't
reveal
actually.
your,
I have no plans whatsoever of ever showing my face.
which is my point. If you want to reveal your face, you must be sure that you are willing to take the consequences and responsibilities in the future, wherein some fans might actually know your face now when they walk by and decide to, interrupt your scenes and go for pictures, autographs, etc.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we've seen a lot of celebrities struggle with that over the years. And I think a lot of the time, people that are streamers, they don't tend to really realise that even though you're not as hugely known as Brad Pitt, you still, like, in my aspect, we're coming up on 900 followers. And that, in the large scheme of things, where, you have people who have millions and millions of followers, it seems like such a small number. But if you were to put 900 people in a room, all of which know sort of who you are and want to, like, get to know you, that becomes a massive number. And people don't realise that you're going to be dealing with those same kinds of issues, but on a smaller scale.
Indeed.
Well, thank you so much for having this chat with me. I really appreciate it. I think you've brought up some wonderful things that I neglected to touch on.
Thanks as well for having me. I'm gonna, for now, since I'm also in a sleepless night and I might actually have to hit the bed.
Oh
Ciao
my
for now.
gosh. Have a great night. Sleep well. Thanks again for stopping by. Well, thank you once again. Those are some lovely, lovely talking points. I really appreciate it. I do. And when it comes down to it, when it comes down to the advice to give someone that is becoming a streamer and dealing with these parasocial relationships, I think you were searching for a particular term, and I didn't want to put words in your mouth, because that would be terrible. But the number one piece of advice that I would personally give to anyone, when it comes to dealing with parasocial relationships, the best practice that I can give you is to establish boundaries. Establish boundaries with people. Make it clear who you are, what they see on your streams, in your videos. Yes, you want them to like you, and yes, you want them to like your content, but make it clear. Make it clear. In this case, I am Paegan, right? What you see right here on the screen with the hair and the tattoos and all of this, right? This is Paegan. This is the person that people come into my streams for Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch. This is what you come for. This is what you get. But you guys here on Tuesdays, you don't get that. You don't get the gimmicks and the happy and the all of this. Instead, you're much more closely talking to me, the person behind it. I'm here to talk shop with you, creator to creator, and say, hey, here's what's going on behind the scenes. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what's happening. And very similarly to how Maj just said, I love this idea of having an operator, and I considered doing it, but I be a broke VTuber. So if anyone would like to, give a generous donation to fund a new model specifically for Tuesdays and out of character stuff, I would love you forever. I joke, obviously that was a riff on parasocial relationships. I shouldn't have done it. Ignore that. So establish boundaries. Let people know that who they see on your streams, who they see in your videos, is not necessarily you. Right? Yes, it's you in a certain sense, it's you in an aspect, but it's not you in your sum totality. Right? It's not all of you. You need to establish that boundary with people clearly and as early on as humanly possible, right? Establish that boundary. Let people know. Make sure that people understand the difference between you being friendly and being their friend. Now, I am friendly to pretty much everyone. Unless you're a jerk to me first, I'm going to be friendly to you. That's just how I operate. But there is a difference between being friendly to you and being your friend. Right? I might inquire about your mum in the hospital and how she's doing, or how that job interview went, or, I might ask how school's going, that kind of thing. I might be friendly to you, but that does not mean I'm your friend. It does not mean that I'm going to sit here after hours, off stream, out of my Discord, in a DM with you, just hanging out playing video games as two people. Right? If I'm not doing those things with you, it means I'm not your friend, I am friendly, right? You have to find that line and make it clear for people. Are we friendly or am I your friend? And make it clear and make it easy for people to be able to tell the difference. Right? My next tip, my next bit of advice, the next best practice is to enforce your boundaries. Right? You've set boundaries and that's great. But you also need to be able to enforce them. Just because you tell people where the line is, where the boundary is, does not mean that everyone's going to follow that. And I'll give you a wonderful example from myself. I closed my DMs on Discord. To help me establish that boundary, which is if you're in my DMs, if I'm DMing you, it's either related to a collab, you're having an issue with the community, or we are friends. If I'm not DMing you for any of those things, then you should not be in my DMs, right? Now, most people understood this. They let it go. They understood it was fine. But some people did not. And you have to be able to enforce that boundary. You have to let people know, listen, I appreciate you as a viewer. I like you. I like talking to you. You're a wonderful person. But I also don't have 6 hours to sit here and talk to you. We're not friends. We don't have that kind of relationship. And maybe you're open to having that kind of relationship with this person. Maybe you are. Maybe it's just bad timing. Maybe, it's whatever it is. But you have to be willing to enforce those boundaries. Alright? Because for someone like me, I cannot possibly have a friendship with every single person that follows me. Alright? I can't possibly have a conversation in my DMs with every single person on my Discord server. Can't do it. Just cannot do it. I'm sorry that I can't, but I can't. I have human limitations, and you also have those human limitations. So you need to set boundaries and enforce them. And I'm not just talking about with your DMs, I'm talking about with everything related to parasocial relationships, right? If you see someone start trying to get your attention all the time by highlighting every message that they send to you, by, trying to constantly get your attention with bits and subs and that sort of thing, you need to make sure that you take the time, talk to the person, establish the boundary and enforce the boundary, and let people know where it is. It's very important. And last, but certainly not least, have a plan. There it is. It's in every single one of these teas. I bet you thought we'd get through one without it. Have a plan. And this is something that I did not have. Despite all of the plans that I had made for every bit of content, for how I was going to reach affiliate, for what I was going to do, for this, that, and the other, I always had a plan for everything. This is the one thing I did not have a plan for. So I had to step back and make one. And so hopefully for you guys, you can make a plan. Make a plan for how you're going to deal with people, for where your lines, where your boundaries are going to be. who you're going to have full-on conversations with, who you're going to invite into your DMs, who you're going to play games with, who you're going to encourage and foster actual friendships with, versus when you're just going to be friendly with. You need to have a plan to make this clear for yourself and make it clear for your community. If you don't have this plan, I will tell you where you're going to find yourself. And I can tell you from personal experience where you're going to find yourself. You are going to find yourself spending 8 to 10 hours a day responding to messages on every platform that you're on, responding to Twitch messages, responding to Discord messages, responding on Twitter, responding on Steam, responding absolutely everywhere to every single person, because you're not going to know where to draw the line. You're not going to know whether you're just being friendly or whether you're turning this person into a friend. You're not going to be able to decide, well, who do I actually take that time with? Who is worthy of becoming my friend? And let me tell you something. That thought right there, that thought of having to determine who is worthy of being your friend, is a horribly uncomfortable thought. It makes you feel so elitist, so ridiculous. What's that? Oh, you have to be good enough to be my friend. It's a very, very difficult feeling to come to grips with. But at the end of the day, you only have a certain amount of time, and you can only maintain relationships with a certain number of people. So what you really need to do is you need to sit down and you need to come up with some kind of criteria for who you're going to give your time to and who you're going to actually foster a friendship with. Because if you don't, you will lose your absolute freaking mind trying to be friends with every single person, and it's not possible. It's not possible. And then you end up opening yourself up to, oh, well, your DMs are open, so I'm going to tell my friends about you. And now all of my friends want to be friends with you as well. And that's great. And you're like, yes, more friends. I love more friends. I would absolutely love to be friends with all of you. And then they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and they tell their friends. And some of those friends are not going to be nice people. Some of those friends are going to be toxic. Some of those friends are going to send you nasty, horrible messages that you're never going to want to deal with. Have a plan. Have a plan for who you're going to be friends with and who you're going to be friendly with. Have a plan for what your boundaries are going to be and how you're going to enforce them. It will save you so much headache in the future. And I'm not going to lie to you. It is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to do. It's unpleasant to do, to sit down and determine how you're going to decide who you talk to and who you don't. It's uncomfortable. But you're going to have to figure out how to do it. Because I can tell you from personal experience, the alternative is not good. It's not healthy. It's going to weigh on you. It is going to wreak havoc on your mental health. So be smart, plan ahead, have a plan, enforce your boundaries, and be ready to go. And that is it, you guys. That is it. That is all I have for you today on parasocial relationships. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope it was insightful to you. If it was, if anything in this stream or in the video was helpful to you, if you would please hit that thumbs up button for me. It helps out so much more than you know with the YouTube algorithm. I would really and truly appreciate it. If any of these tea time Tuesdays are helpful to you, if you've learned anything, if they have helped you out with your own streams in any way, if you would like to see more of them, please hit that subscribe button. I am trying to get to 200 followers 200 subscribers on Twitch by the end of the year. It's not a big goal. It's not a difficult goal to accomplish, and I think that we can do it, so I would really appreciate it. You don't even have to hit the notification bell. That's right, everyone's going to tell you to hit that notification bell so you get... Nope. I don't need you to hit the bell. I'd like it if you did, but you don't have to. Just hit that subscribe button for me. I'd really and truly appreciate it. Of course, as always, if you weren't able to catch the live, if you're watching the video, if you have any questions or any points that you'd like to make that were not touched on, I encourage you to leave them down there in the comment section below. I read every comment and I do my best to respond to every comment of substance. You know, if you just type first, I'm not going to reply to that. There's nothing there. Sorry. But I will absolutely take the time and respond to any questions or points of substance that you make in the comment section. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching this video. And before we go, a huge thank you, you guys, to all of you that have been using Grove Grooves, which is copyright and royalty-free music for streamers, creators and role players in the backs of your streams, in your own videos, or just listening to it on Spotify or Apple or on YouTube or wherever you listen to it. Thank you guys so much. It means the world to me. It really and truly does. It is the best way to support these types of streams that I'm doing here on YouTube. And, of course, there is a new album coming soon. It is working its way through the stars. It'll be out soon. So thank you guys so much. And until next time, I am Paegan O'Ceallaigh. May harmony find you.